a spilled drink, a cruel smile. She poured wine on him, mocked his clothes, called security to throw him out of the gala. What she didn't know? That man was Keanu Reeves, until Clint Eastwood walked in, and by morning her career was gone. If this story leaves an impression on you, tap like to let the quiet ones know. They're finally being heard. The entrance hall of the Legacy Through Light charity exhibit shimmered beneath crystal chandeliers and polished marble floors. Velvet ropes and soft cello music separated the elite from the forgotten, and the air smelled of white wine, ambition, and fresh lacquer. Then, a quiet shift. A man stepped through the front doors. Alone. No entourage, no camera flash, no polished shoes screaming wealth. He wore a soft gray linen shirt, its collar open slightly in defiance of the tuxedo-clad masses. A muted beret rested over slightly tousled dark hair. In his hands, not a Rolex, not an invitation of gold foil, just a thick book wrapped in brown paper, edges creased like it had been opened, read, and rewrapped with care. He paused, taking in the scene, not like a guest, unsure of himself, but more like a man scanning something he helped design. The woman who saw him first was Olivia Grayson, curator-in-chief of the event and self-appointed gatekeeper of taste. Dressed in blood-red satin with a clipboard like a blade, Olivia did not walk. She sliced through crowds. Her heels clicked once, twice. She intercepted him with a smile honed sharp enough to cut. "Sir," she said sweetly, tilting her head. "Deliveries are through the service entrance, northeast corner, by the dumpsters." He met her eyes with a calm that made her instantly defensive. "I'm not delivering anything," he said. Olivia's smile didn't waver, but her eyes narrowed slightly. "No guest badge?" she asked, scanning his collar. "No escort? No visible donation record, I assume?" The man looked down at his book. "I just wanted to see a few pieces. I heard there's a beautiful installation in the West Wing, children's work." Olivia blinked slowly, then leaned in just a little too close. "Sir, this is not a public gallery. This is an invited legacy event for patrons and partners. We've had issues with curious wanderers before." The way she said wanderers, the way she let it linger, sent a ripple of polite discomfort through the bystanders now watching. He nodded. "Understood." He turned to leave, calm, composed, when someone behind Olivia chuckled. A young man in designer velvet muttered just loud enough, "Probably here for the open bar. Should have brought a mop." Laughter followed. Olivia, emboldened, added, "Do let the back staff know when you're done roaming. They might need help cleaning up." The man's smile barely shifted. He offered a small nod, tucked the paper-wrapped book closer to his side, and walked calmly toward the side hall, toward the children's wing. Someone whispered, "He looks familiar." But the moment passed too quickly, the laughter too loud. And Olivia? She turned back to the crowd, triumphant, not knowing she had just publicly dismissed Keanu Reeves, nor that her downfall had already begun. Because outside, just around the corner, a classic black Cadillac was pulling into the valet lane. And Clint Eastwood was about to walk in. A waiter stepped back just in time. A splash of crimson wine flew through the air, glass clinking to the marble, stem broken. The crowd gasped as a thin stream of Cabernet dripped down the cuff of Keanu's linen sleeve, blooming like a slow bruise on the soft fabric. "Oh my," Olivia Grayson cooed, hand on her chest. "I'm terribly clumsy. You should really be more careful standing in the middle of the gallery like that." Her voice, honeyed but piercing, carried through the main hall like a bell. Keanu glanced down at the stain, then looked up, calm, as if he hadn't just been targeted in front of 30 of New York's most pretentious donors. "It's all right," he said simply. "It'll wash." Olivia tilted her head, feigning concern. "That shirt doesn't look like it can afford dry cleaning." Laughter erupted, polite, rehearsed, the kind that bleeds out of lips stretched too tight from Botox and boredom. A young woman nearby, clearly an assistant, stepped forward, uncertainty. "Ms. Grayson, I think he might be on the silent donor list. There's a name with—" Olivia raised a manicured hand. "I said no unverified access. I don't care if he's the Dalai Lama's cousin." She turned to Keanu again, louder now, knowing eyes were on her. "This gallery isn't for tourists, and if someone's letting in strays, we'll be reviewing our door policies." Someone behind him whispered, "Is that the guy from the subway memes? You know, the sad one?" Another voice, "Nah, looks like someone's lost dad wandered in." A third, "Maybe he's performance art." Keanu remained still. He didn't blink, didn't bite. But Olivia wasn't finished. "Security," she called out, too loudly. Two suited guards, unsure, stepped toward them. "Escort this gentleman to the back exit, and please make sure he doesn't disturb the main collection. Some pieces are worth more than his outfit." This time, no one laughed. Phones began to rise. A few guests started recording, not to help, but to capture spectacle. Live streams blinked red. Keanu looked from Olivia to the guards. One of them, older, hesitated. Recognition flickered, but then died under the weight of protocol. "I'm not here to cause trouble," Keanu said. "Just here to see the work, especially the children's room." "Then schedule a school tour," Olivia snapped. The guard stepped closer. Keanu didn't move. And just then a boy's voice, small but clear, from the side hallway. "Chu Keanu?" Heads turned. A boy in a wheelchair sat beside a painting. Brush held between his teeth. Eyes wide, hopeful. "You said you'd come!" Olivia frozen. Keanu smiled gently. "I told you I wouldn't miss it." The boy beamed, but Olivia's face hardened. She waved at a nearby volunteer. "Get him out now. I don't care what tricks he's playing." "Ma'am," the guard said quietly, "we're being recorded." Too late. Across the gallery, screens lit up. The world had started watching, and the world had seen everything. The tension in the gallery pulsed like static. Olivia Grayson stood frozen, jaw clenched, breath shallow, as the boy in the wheelchair continued waving toward Keanu with both joy and innocence, oblivious to the battlefield unfolding around him. Keanu took a slow step forward. The guards didn't move. They didn't dare. He crouched beside the boy, resting the brown, paper-wrapped book gently on the floor. "You made it," the boy whispered. "You did too," Keanu said, smiling gently. "I finished the piece, the one with the wings, like you said." Their voices were low, private, but everyone watched. Olivia turned to the assistant who had tried to warn her earlier. "You said he might be a silent donor. What's his name?" I don't know. It's redacted on the forms, just signed as KR." Olivia rolled her eyes. "Perfect. What is he? Some failed Banksy knockoff trying to go viral?" Then, from behind the velvet ropes, a conversation sparked in hushed tones. "Wait, I swear I've seen that guy before." "Yeah, on a Reddit post. Or maybe a Subway video?" No, that's Keanu Reeves. Has to be. He's shorter than I thought." "He's not short. That's just the angle." The murmurs built like smoke, whispers turning to speculation, speculation turning to stunned disbelief. Olivia caught wind of the change. Her confidence wavered. "Oh, please," she hissed. "If that were Keanu Reeves, don't you think someone would have said something?" Right then, an older woman leaned toward Olivia, voice dangerously low. "You just poured wine on the founder of the Silent Frame Initiative. He's the one who funded the entire West Wing." Olivia blinked. "What?" "He was anonymous until now. But the boy said his name, and people are filming." Panic rippled under Olivia's skin, but she swallowed it hard. "There's no proof it's Keanu Reeves." The woman didn't reply. She simply turned and walked away. Olivia spun back toward the crowd, only to find Keanu now standing beside the boy's painting. It was striking. A young boy in a wheelchair drawn with vivid, frantic brushstrokes, his back adorned with translucent wings, unfurling skyward in luminous color. The label beneath the frame read, "Untitled Nut 6, for the man who said I could fly." Artist, Jacob M., age 9. Medium, eye-tracking digital paintbrush. Keanu stood beside it, hands behind his back. The gallery was silent. Then someone in the crowd whispered, not with sarcasm, but awe. "He didn't just fund this, he built it." A journalist raised her phone, trembling slightly. "We need confirmation. Someone ask him." But Keanu simply looked at the boy, gave him a small nod, and said, "You flew." And somewhere beyond the marble and money, a rumble approached. A black Cadillac turned the corner. Clint Eastwood had arrived. Deep within the east wing of the gallery, behind a frosted glass door labeled "Administration, Authorized Staff Only," Olivia Grayson stormed into the operations room like a gust of fire. Two junior coordinators straightened up instantly. One of them nearly spilled a tray of name badges. "Pull up the list of confirmed donors," Olivia barked. "Full ledger, no redactions." A nervous click-clack of keyboard strokes followed. The large display on the wall blinked to life. Columns of names, tiers of contribution, codes. Olivia's eyes scanned hungrily. "Where is the anonymous benefactor? The one from the West Wing exhibit?" One intern swallowed. "Here, line 84. Coded as KR. Why the hell is it coded? Who authorized that?" A second voice answered from the corner. A man in a gray suit, older, calm. "That was per board instruction, Ms. Grayson. The donor requested full anonymity. No press, no credit, just full financial backing." Olivia turned to him. So you let some ghost sign a multi-million-dollar check with just 2 initials? Not a ghost, the man replied, lifting a printed form. We have full credentials, vetted through our partner network. Background checks, philanthropic history. The legal team handled it directly. She snatched the paper from his hand. Her eyes narrowed at the signature, KR. Beneath it, to the children who've taught me more about art than any museum ever has. Olivia's hands trembled. She dropped the paper. That can't be real, she said. It's a stunt. It has to be. He's not one of us. The coordinator hesitated. Ma'am, I think you should see this. He tapped a key. The screen changed. Security cam footage from earlier that afternoon. Keanu Reeves, in the staff area, helping unload a crate of adaptive art equipment, laughing with volunteers, wearing the same gray shirt, holding the same paper-wrapped book. And then, worse, another clip. A quiet moment in the children's wing, captured by a staff member's phone. Keanu kneels beside a girl with cerebral palsy, gently adjusting her eye-controlled stylus. Her face lit up with joy. Her first painting filled the screen. Olivia's voice was suddenly small. Why wasn't I told? You were, someone muttered. You dismissed it. Another pause. Then someone from the PR desk cleared their throat. There's something else. What now? They turned up the volume on the central monitor. A live stream from the front hall. Clint Eastwood had just stepped out of the Cadillac. He was now walking, slowly but purposefully, through the main doors. The crowd parted like a wave. Cameras turned. Olivia's face lost all color. The PR agent didn't look at her when he spoke the final words. He's not just the donor, ma'am. He's the reason Clint Eastwood is here. Outside, the thunder of realization had already begun. And inside, Olivia Grayson finally understood. She hadn't humiliated anybody. She'd tried to erase a legacy. Are you still here? If you are, comment yes, so I know you're watching until the end. The gallery's main hall fell into a sudden, unnatural stillness. It wasn't the music pausing, or the waiters freezing mid-step. It was something deeper. An instinct. The kind that settles over a crowd when a presence enters that commands respect beyond titles or net worth. The door attendant stood motionless, mouth slightly agape. Through the open glass doors, a black Cadillac slowly rolled to a stop. The driver stepped out briskly and opened the passenger side. And there he was. Clint Eastwood. Gray suit, bolo tie, eyes shaded under the brim of a soft hat. His gait was slow but steady, each step deliberate, each movement heavy with history. He needed no introduction, no announcement. The crowd recognized him the way one recognizes thunder before a storm breaks. Olivia Grayson was already halfway across the floor, high heels clicking too fast for grace. Her smile snapped into place, camera ready. Mr. Eastwood, she called, voice almost cheerful, almost desperate. What an honor! No one told us you were attending. He didn't stop. He didn't even glance at her. Instead, his gaze cut through the crowd like a rifle barrel, straight ahead, to the man standing silently by the painting of a boy with wings. Keanu. Clint moved toward him with the gravity of a legend. The chatter died entirely. Guests who'd mocked, who'd laughed, now leaned forward on instinct. Phones down, lips parted. Olivia blinked. "Mr. Eastwood." He raised a hand, just slightly, and she stopped. Clint reached Keanu and placed one firm, wrinkled hand on his shoulder. "You still hate the spotlight, don't you?" he said, voice low and rough with time. Keanu gave a soft laugh. "You haven't changed much either." "No?" Clint said. "But you have. You've built something damn rare." Then he turned, slowly, to face the crowd. "Let me tell you what this man's done," he said. "Not for money, not for credit, but for kids who didn't think they had a place in the world. For kids who were told they'd never hold a brush. For kids who now create better art than half of you critics combined." A stunned silence fell. Then murmurs. Then phones rose, not to mock, but to remember. Clint motioned to the painting behind Keanu. This place, this room, this entire wing, wasn't just funded by Keanu Reeves. It was built, piece by piece, by him, quietly, without asking for a nameplate. A woman in the back covered her mouth. A man whispered, "That's why Clint Eastwood came." Clint turned one final time to Keanu. "I only came here because you asked me to." And Keanu simply nodded. But across the room, Olivia Grayson stood like a statue, lip trembling, clipboard slack in her hand, the blood draining from her face. Because at that moment, the entire crowd realized what she had done. Not just to a man, but to a legacy. And the internet hadn't even begun yet. The applause started as a ripple, hesitant, uncertain. But as Clint Eastwood stepped back beside Keanu Reeves, it swelled into something deeper. Not loud, not roaring, reverent. The crowd wasn't clapping for celebrities. They were clapping because they realized they'd just witnessed a reversal of everything this room believed it stood for. And Olivia Grayson? She stood frozen at the edge of the gallery, spine locked in place, lips parted but mute. A young journalist near the front, eyes wide, raised her phone. "We're streaming," she whispered. "Every major outlet's picking this up now." Then the lights dimmed slightly. A soft chime echoed through the marble chamber. "Ladies and gentlemen," came a voice over the speaker system. "Please direct your attention to the west display wall for a short tribute." Olivia turned toward the technician booth. "I didn't approve." Too late. The screens lit up. Footage rolled. It wasn't sleek or overly produced. No voiceover, no credits. Just raw clips, cut together like a quiet confession. Keanu, in a dusty warehouse, helping load adaptive easels into crates. Keanu kneels beside a little girl, guiding her hand as she uses a digital paintbrush strapped to her forehead. Keanu unpacks dozens of brown paper-wrapped books, giving them to children. A short clip of him sweeping a hallway in a makeshift studio. And finally, Keanu, alone, building the first prototype of the gallery's now flagship tool, the silent frame. A hands-free painting module for kids with limited mobility. The music was soft, strings, no lyrics. The final frame was text only. He didn't ask for recognition. He only asked that every child be seen. Silence. Then a gasp. From the side, a voice rose, small, trembling. It was Jacob, the boy in the wheelchair. He was holding a folded piece of paper. "Miss Olivia," he said. "This was supposed to be a surprise. Mr. Keanu helped me write a speech for tonight. You told me my part was canceled." All eyes turned. Olivia tried to speak. Nothing came. Jacob looked up, innocent but firm. "You said I wasn't on the main program anymore, but Mr. Keanu said my words mattered, even if I needed help to say them." He handed the paper to Clint. Clint read aloud, slowly. "Thank you, Mr. Keanu, for giving me a voice, for seeing me when others only saw my chair, for teaching me that art doesn't come from hands. It comes from hope." Keanu's head dropped slightly, not from shame, but to hold back something deeper. Olivia couldn't move, couldn't hide. Someone whispered near her, "You cut a disabled child from the program?" Someone else. "For what? Optics?" And then, "Get her out." Phones turned. The wave had begun. Olivia Grayson, once the queen of curation, was now being recorded for exactly what she was. Not a tastemaker, a gatekeeper. And the gates had just fallen. By the time Olivia stumbled out of the gallery, face drained of its pristine powder, the sidewalk was lined with flashing phones and murmuring onlookers. Someone threw a program booklet at her heels. Someone else whispered, "Monster in heels." Inside, the energy had flipped. Where there had once been clinking champagne and curated arrogance, now there was movement, purpose, clarity. Guests huddled in circles, not to network, but to apologize, to each other, to volunteers, to the kids. Some left in shame, some stayed to help. A security guard approached Keanu. "Sir," he said, hesitant, "we just got word. The Foundation Board has officially terminated Olivia Grayson's contract." Keanu blinked. "That fast?" The guard nodded. "You have no idea how fast the world moves when Clint Eastwood says your name." Not far away, Olivia stood before the board chair, an older woman in a navy silk dress, phone still buzzing in her hand. "You need to understand," Olivia stammered. "He came in without an ID. I was protecting the integrity of the..." The chair raised a hand. Her eyes were like glass. "You spilled wine on him." I apologized. You mocked a child's disability on camera, then tried to erase the one man who made this exhibit possible." Olivia's throat tightened. "We accepted your resignation 2 minutes ago," the woman continued. "You'll never curate in this city again. And trust me, that's the kindest outcome." Just then, Clint passed behind them. No words, no glare, just a presence. Olivia couldn't breathe. She turned, desperate, toward Keanu. But he wasn't looking at her. He was kneeling beside Jacob again, helping him fix a loose strap on his wheelchair. His fingers moved with care, as if nothing else in the world mattered. "Keanu," Olivia tried, voice cracking. "Please, tell them I didn't mean to..." He looked up, and for the first time all night, he spoke, clear and without a smile. "I don't need an apology. She blinked in hope. But he does. He nodded to Jacob. And so do the kids who watched this happen. Maybe apologize to them first. Olivia's mouth opened, closed. She turned, vanished into the night, drowned out by her own echo. Inside, guests began to clap again, not as spectacle, but as reckoning. Someone announced, "The Silent Frame Initiative will now be funded globally in Keanu's name." Jacob rolled forward, holding up his drawing, Keanu standing tall, with dozens of children around him, every one of them with wings. "Can I give you this?" the boy asked. Keanu knelt down. "Only if I can frame it." 3 weeks later, the red banner on the New York Times read, "Olivia Grayson banned from all major arts foundations in U.S." Beneath it, a photo of her exiting a courthouse, flanked by attorneys, eyes down, lips pressed, clipboard long gone. The fallout had been swift and absolute. Major donors pulled out of her future projects. Galleries stripped her name from plaques. Even universities who once invited her to lecture now issued public statements denouncing her conduct. Not for what she did to Keanu, but for what she did to a child who just wanted to speak. Meanwhile, the Silent Frame Initiative exploded worldwide. Dozens of schools, hospitals, and museums wrote in, requesting installations. The children's wing at the gallery became a living exhibit, not of paintings, but of possibilities. Keanu never gave a press conference, never posted a statement, but people spoke for him. A mother in Chicago. "My son drew his first picture yesterday because of Keanu Reeves." A war veteran in Berlin. "The device helped me paint again after I lost my hand." A school in rural India hung a sign, "Art is not a luxury, it's a right." Back in Manhattan, a small private ceremony was held. No press, no red carpet, just Keanu, Clint Eastwood, Jacob, and a few dozen kids gathered around the original silent frame prototype, now framed behind glass. Below it, a new plaque read, "To the quiet ones, to the doubted, to those who were told they didn't belong. You were never the problem." Jacob was asked to cut the ribbon. His little fingers shook, but Keanu knelt beside him, hand steadying his. When the ribbon fell, the room erupted in applause. Clint stood nearby, arms crossed, smiling small but proud. Later that evening, Keanu and Jacob sat alone beneath the stars on the rooftop garden. Jacob asked softly, "Did it hurt when she said all those things?" Keanu looked out over the skyline. "A little," he admitted, "but not as much as staying silent would have." Jacob nodded. "I'm glad you stayed." "So am I." As the story went viral, people across the globe were forced to reflect. Not just on Olivia Grayson, but on how easily the world mistakes status for substance. How often it pushes down the quiet, the wounded, the not impressive enough, until someone stands still long enough for the truth to speak. And no reader, we turn to you. If you've ever felt invisible, if someone ever told you you don't belong, Or if you've ever judged someone based on how they walk into a room, let this story be your reminder. Legacy isn't built in the spotlight. It's built when no one's watching. And respect isn't owed to the loudest voice. It's earned by the kindest actions. Are you still here? Then comment, "I see you" below to stand with those the world often overlooks. We'll be reading every single one. Let's never let another Olivia